All right, we're going to go ahead and call the January 2025 Board of Adjustments meeting to order. Happy New Year to everybody, and we're going to go ahead and start with our normal housekeeping item of the minutes from the previous meeting in November.
Move we accept as presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from November 7th meeting of 2024. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. Put me down as voting too. And any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. All right, we have no old business. New business, we have election of officers for 2025, chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. Do we have any recommendations on that?
I'm in favor of re-electing the same officers by acclamation the way that they are. That would be Chairman Wendell, Vice Chairman Don, and Secretary Josh.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to reappoint myself as chairman, Commissioner Jackamore as vice chair, and Commissioner Josh over here as the secretary. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Guys, you are sentenced to 12 months. Okay. All right. Item number 2, variance from Article 14 to allow a side yard setback of 10 feet instead of a required 15 feet submitted by Danny Russell. Victoria, you got a staff report on that?
Yes. And as usual, we're kind of starting out just reminding you guys that we have these 6 review criteria as we go through these variance requests. The first being that the applicant demonstrates that special conditions or circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building and are not applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the same district. No other non-conforming uses shall be considered. We must make a finding that the application provided sufficient justification to grant the variance, as is the minimum possible to make use of the land, structure, or building. We must make a finding that the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning code. We may prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards. And the last one, we are restricted from granting any variances that are not permissible or are prohibited under the regulations. So as stated, this is a variance at 3204 North Cleveland. The existing conditions, this is currently a vacant lot in the Highway 7 Interchange District. It's the location of a proposed duplex. It is an R3 medium high density residential zoned property surrounded by other R3 and R1 as well as C2 highway commercial zoned properties to the west and north. Surrounding properties are single family homes, other duplexes, and a cell tower. The application is to allow a variance from Article 14, which lay out the setback requirements to allow a side yard setback of 10 feet rather than their required 15 feet. The request before you, as stated, is to the area requirements table. This table states that the street side setback, so on a corner lot, the street side for structures in the R3 zone shall be no less than 15 feet. The proposed street side setback for this application is 10 feet. The request for the variance is due to the location of existing city corporation utilities. There is a 10-foot sewer line that runs along the southern property line, which requires an easement from city corporation to do work as needed. Due to this easement requirement, the interior side yard setback has been increased from the city required 5 feet to 13 feet and 10 inches to allow for that utility easement. Staff has visited the site and believes that the requested 10 feet street side yard setback will be adequate in this location. The location of the sewer line and needed easement has resulted in a special condition on this land that does not apply to other structures in the district. As a result of this, it is staff's recommendation that the Board of Adjustment approve this variance request based on the findings that the applicant has demonstrated that special conditions exist and the application demonstrates that this request is a minimum to make reasonable use of the land. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Victoria. Danny, you got anything you want to add to that, or is that, just leave it as is? Okay, we got it. All right, commissioners.
Make a motion to approve as
Okay.
presented.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request as presented. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. All right. Item number 3, variance from Article 4.4 to allow a 6-foot privacy fence within a front yard setback. That's submitted by Patrick and Brooke McConnell. Victoria, you got a staff report on that?
Yes. So this is a variance located at 906 South Phoenix. This is located in the Englewood neighborhood at the corner of South Phoenix and Morning Dove. This is the location of an existing single-family home. It is an R1 single-family residential zoned property surrounded by other R1 zoned properties. All surrounding uses are single-family homes. The application, as stated, is to allow a variance from Article 4.1 to allow a 6-foot privacy fence within the front yard setback. So you're going to see up here their proposed location of that fence, and the portion that we're looking at is going to be on the far right, the 19-foot and 33-foot lengths pointed out there. The request before you seeks a variance from Article 4.1, which states no fence, wall, or hedge along the sides or front edge of any required front yard shall be over 3.5 feet in height. The applicant has cited several reasons for their variance request. Primarily, the layout of their home is similar to others on the street, except for their front door faces what is typically the side yard for neighboring properties. So where their front door faces South Phoenix here, most of their other neighboring properties have their front doors facing, for example, Morning Dove or the other side streets there. So essentially what is their front yard is typically other people's side yards. In contrast, other homes, like stated, have primary access off of the side streets rather than from South Phoenix. This results in the applicant's property's legal backyard being much smaller than the others that are typical in this zone. So I've kind of pointed out with the yellow box here, this is their neighbor, which has this brick and vinyl, I believe, fence that they're just kind of continuing over. So they're going to keep that same alignment. That's their neighbor's side yard, but it's their front yard, just based on how the house is laid out. So the applicant is aiming to, again, maintain that alignment with the fencing adjacent for visual consistency. Upon review, staff has determined that the unique orientation of the property and the goal of the aesthetic consistency do qualify as special conditions supporting the approval of this variance. Staff has concluded that allowing the fence in the proposed location will have no negative visual impacts, and the fence will align with the neighboring property's fence and will not extend any closer to South Phoenix. So as a result of this, it is staff's recommendation that the Board of Adjustment approve this variance request based on the findings that the applicant has demonstrated that special conditions exist, and the application demonstrates that this request is the minimum to make reasonable use of the land. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Is anybody here that has any questions or wants to say anything on this request? McConnell's? Okay. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this variance request as presented. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. And if we have no other items here, we are adjourned.